Part 1. Raised in the Palace. Moses was raised in the grand palace of Egypt. He grew up surrounded by the wealth and power of the Egyptian rulers. He was educated in their finest schools and could read and write their language. But deep in his heart, Moses never forgot that he was a Hebrew, part of God's chosen people, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Even in Pharaoh's palace, God was shaping Moses for a special purpose. Every lesson he learned, every skill he gained would one day be used for God's glory. Part 2. A Man with a Mission. As Moses grew up, he saw how the Israelites were made to suffer under the cruel slavery of Egypt. He watched as they were forced to make bricks under the scorching sun, beaten by the Egyptian taskmasters. Moses felt torn between two worlds, the luxury of Egypt and the pain of his people. But God had already chosen Moses to be their deliverer. Moses would soon discover that his true calling was not to rule Egypt, but to set the Israelites free. Part 3. The Burning Bush. Years later, God spoke to Moses from a burning bush that was not consumed by fire. There, on holy ground, Moses heard the Lord's voice telling him to return to Egypt and confront Pharaoh. Moses was afraid and felt unworthy, but God promised to be with him. With his brother Aaron as his helper, Moses returned to Egypt, not as a prince, but as God's messenger. His mission, to demand that Pharaoh let God's people go. Part 4. Pharaoh's Pride. Pharaoh, however, was proud and stubborn. He refused to release the Israelites. He laughed at the idea of obeying the God of Israel. But God would show his power not only to Pharaoh, but to all of Egypt. Through mighty signs and wonders, he would prove that he alone is the true and living God. And so began the 10 terrible plagues that shook the land of Egypt and broke Pharaoh's pride. Part 5. Plagues and Redemption. The first plague came when Moses struck the Nile River with his staff, and the waters turned to blood. Fish died, the river stank, and the Egyptians had no clean water to drink. Still, Pharaoh hardened his heart. Next came the frogs, then the gnats, followed by flies. The 5th plague brought sickness and death to the animals of Egypt, but none of Israel's livestock were harmed. Then painful boils broke out on the Egyptians, and even their magicians could not stand before Moses. Next came hail and fire from heaven, then locusts, and after that, darkness. For 3 days, thick darkness covered the land of Egypt. The Egyptians could not see each other or move about, but the Israelites had light where they lived. Yet even after this, Pharaoh's heart remained hard. Part 6. The Passover. Finally, the 10th and most dreadful plague fell, the death of the firstborn. But God gave Israel a way of escape, the blood of a spotless lamb painted on their doorposts. When the angel of death passed over Egypt that night, he spared every home marked by the lamb's blood. Pharaoh's own son died that night, and Egypt was filled with wailing. At last, Pharaoh let the Israelites go. It's a story that reminds us that no matter how great our problems seem, no matter how powerful our enemies appear, God is more powerful than any Pharaoh. He can deliver his people from any form of slavery. If you believe this, type Amen in the comments section.